Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Cadillac Simply the Best and Michigan Innovation Podcast. Today we have an amazing guest, my cousin, Carrie Galligan. How you doing today, Carrie?
Excited.
Oh gosh, I am too. I've been wanting to get Carrie on for a long time, and we finally got her booked. You're going to love her story. It is an amazing, cool twist to innovation because innovation isn't always computers, the internet, or IT. Sometimes innovation is really using some new substances and new technical devices, but for very proven holistic medicine. And we're going to get into that today, as well as some of Carrie's super cool background. And so, as we do on the podcast, and I know that you appreciate this, we're going to find out who Carrie is and really how did she what was her journey all about. So how are you doing, and you ready to get into this?
I'm awesome.
All
I'm
right,
ready.
let's
Let's
go
do
for
it.
it. Let's bring it. Okay. So tell us about you.
Well, let's see. I'm Carrie, and I'm 67 years old. I recently retired in 2023 from the Wexford County Council on Aging. I have two children, my daughter and my favorite child, my son-in-law. Um, I'm going to get in trouble for that one, but
always
that's
is
okay.
nice. So you get when the in-laws aren't outlaws. That's always a good thing.
Yep. I have a shirt that says my favorite child is my son-in-law, and he lives up to it. They live in Alabama, and they have two sons, so I have two grandsons. So then I have my son who lives here in Cadillac, and he has two children as well. So four grandchildren, but they're like a decade apart in age.
Mm-hmm.
My grandsons from my daughter, Tyler and Zachary, they are 28 and 27 years old. And Tyler is a police officer
Wow.
in a small town. That's what he chose to do because of COVID, he wasn't able to get into the federal system like he
Mm-hmm.
wanted. So he chose to go to a local police in a small town.
Awesome. We need police in every sector, so good for him.
Yes, and they are, I believe, now it's grandma's opinion.
Yeah.
I believe they're grooming him to be the captain.
Okay. Well,
So,
you never know.
yep,
Inch by inch, life's a cinch. Things
yep.
happen little by little.
His brother, Zachary, is he's a crime scene investigator.
Wow.
They they both
That
went to the
sounds
same
interesting.
university, so
Wow.
I've got them both in law enforcement, and I'm very proud of them.
Oh, sure. I can see why.
Then my other grandkids are a 14-year-old young man and a 10-year-old little lady.
So you have three boys and a girl.
Yes, I
Grandchildren.
do.
Wow,
And like I
awesome.
said, there
Lots of spread.
lots of spread.
Spread
So yeah,
ages. Wow.
it's fun.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm married. I love my husband. I love working in the garden. I love being busy.
Mm-hmm. I know that about you.
Yeah.
We are from her grandpa and my dad were brothers.
Yep.
That's how we're related. And so uh her grandfather was Leroy Odette, and he actually was born in Vancouver. I think I
Yep.
shared with the people on the podcast before that our heritage in Cadillac comes from the lumber days. And when the lumber industry sort of died out here in Cadillac, our great grandparents moved out to Vancouver Island, and they were cooks in the lumber camps in
Yep.
Vancouver, and that's where Uncle Roy was born.
Yep.
And then his grandparents, or maybe his parents, no, his grandparents, who were the cooks, one of them, the grandpa fell off the roof and broke both of his legs. And so they came back to Cadillac, and that's why the whole family is in Cadillac and not
Yep.
out there in British Columbia, Vancouver. Boy, our lives would be different.
Yes, they
I
would.
don't know if you or I would be around. So that's how our connection worked. And so that's an interesting story. And how did you get into some of the, professions that you've had? I know you work for the Council on Aging, that I know you have a big heart for seniors, and you spend a lot of time there. And I know you're an entrepreneur, you had your own business.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your own business back in the day.
Well, in 2007, well, it was a little earlier than that, but 2006, so forth. Things were going pretty good for us, for my husband and I. So I wanted to not work. I wanted to work at my own work. I wanted to open a store. I wanted a metaphysical based store. So he agreed with me and the journey started. So in 2007, I opened Pathways Body, Mind, and Spirit here in downtown Cadillac. I always say it was one of the best things I did in my life, and it was one of the worst.
Oh, I never heard the worst. It's
Yeah, the
always the
worst. Well,
positive.
you didn't have to pay those bills. I
Well,
did. All those loans. It took me a while to pay them off. But I did have the store for just about 2 years. I loved it. We did all kinds of events and had classes and workshops and all. It just was a part of the downtown community. In 2008, of course, the economy crashed,
that's right. I remember.
and that wasn't bad enough. I knew that in 2009, early, that 131, they were going to work on my side of the street,
Mhm.
and that would block me off. So I made the really hard decision, November of 2008, to close the business.
Mhm.
That was one of the worst.
Well, and it does take courage. I was at a class yesterday where we were learning about hard decisions and how you make those decisions as entrepreneurs. And if you if you keep investing when you have, they call it the sunk cost paradigm, where, oh, I've already spent this much, we'll spend a little more, a little more, a little more. And then before you know it, you're totally upside down. So it probably even though it was heartbreaking, you probably
Mhm.
saved a lot in the long run.
Absolutely. And I made lifelong friends with my customers. Some of them we still get together and see each other on a regular basis. So I don't regret that decision whatsoever to do the store. And still get a little sad, about closing it, but it lived its purpose.
Well, I
And
loved going there. You had jewelry, you had books,
we had
you had a fortune teller,
artists.
and you had artists.
Yeah.
And is that where you got into Reiki? Or was that
Yes.
after?
Yes. No, that was when I got into Reiki.
I thought
I
so.
I actually took Reiki from Mary Dillon.
Oh, okay.
She was my first Reiki teacher. I then went on and sought out two other Reiki teachers. There's 3 levels to Reiki. So I wanted 3 different perspectives. I wanted 3 different views
Hmm.
of Reiki when I was learning it,
Mhm.
because I don't believe that not any one person holds all of the knowledge.
That's so true.
So I went to 3 different Reiki masters, and they taught me their portion, and then I became a Reiki master.
I see that you're
Yeah.
both Usi and
Yusi,
Yusi and
Karuna.
Karuna Reiki
Yep.
masters.
Yep.
That's very cool. We'll get into that. But I love these bowls. You guys see these beautiful bowls that she
Mhm.
brought with her today? So we're going to jump into now, like what's cool these days, what's she up to right now? How's that sound?
That sounds wonderful.
Okay, so let's get into this crystal bowl magic. I know you play these crystal bowls for healing. How did you get into that, and what kind of feelings or energy shifts do people experience when they
Mm.
listen?
Um, I heard and experienced the crystal balls years and years ago, before I even thought about the store. I mean, it was years ago, and I was downstate and went to a trade show, and there was a practitioner there that was letting people experience the balls. She laid me down on a mat, a yoga mat. My whole body was surrounded by the bowls, and she started playing. In a couple of minutes, I was in a tunnel of the most beautiful sounds
Mm,
I had ever saw and
mm.
heard. And I did see because I saw colors. I
Wow.
saw all kinds of things. It was just magical.
So it truly is crystal ball magic.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Wow.
Years
That's
go
so
by
great.
and you forget, and life goes on and you move in different directions. And when I decided I was going to retire, I said, I'm going to do something different. I have to keep busy. Otherwise, my husband's not going to be happy. So I decided that I would get crystal bowls and I would play for senior services. So I ordered my first set of bowls and it
That's
was
that
just,
service for seniors again, to
yeah.
bring it all in again. Not
Well, I'm a
surprised.
senior.
Yeah, me too.
So I brought my first set of bowls. It was three, similar to these. And I opened up the box and I'm starting to tinker around with them. And I looked at my husband and I said, I need the big set.
So do you still have the little set?
No, I
You
sold
sold them.
those.
Good idea.
I sold those because I also wanted, as I was getting into this, I wanted to bring in a few more instruments.
Hmm.
So I also have today with me the ocean drums.
What? I didn't know that. Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
So I
Ocean
bought some
drums.
ocean drums and I take those when I play for senior services. Mary Lou helps me.
Mm-hmm.
Mary Lou is a massage therapist, retired,
Oh, yeah, she's
and
great.
so she goes with me when I have an appointment to play the singing bowls, and she will offer Reiki on senior shoulders while
Oh,
I'm playing, and she also manages to hand out the ocean drums
awesome. So
to the clients or to the
oh,
seniors, and they can play while I'm playing.
do they do it?
Yes.
They do it. How do they like it? How do they receive it?
They love it, although we've had a couple that created thunderstorms. So
Oh,
we had to help to move them back to gentle waves.
okay.
It's always fun because you never know.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? Well, the ocean bowls, and I'll bring those out in a little bit. If you do them gently, they sound like the waves of an ocean.
Oh, okay.
And a couple of people get excited and they move them way too fast and you get a
Oh,
thunderstorm.
okay. So
Yeah.
then it gets a little overwhelming.
Yes, it does. So we
Okay.
have to gently bring them back to the
Oh, well,
waves
they're
of the ocean.
engaged at least.
That's ex
That's it.
that
Totally
was
engaged.
that was the whole purpose.
That's so cool. Well, God
Yes.
bless you for that. So it sounds like it all has to do with sound healing. If someone's never heard of frequency healing before, or how would you explain it in simple terms, and what makes it so powerful?
That's one of the reasons I play for senior services because many of them have never experienced sound healing. Okay. We've all had experiences, we just don't recognize
Hmm.
it. So if you've ever been to a rock concert
Oh yeah.
and it's really loud and
And
it's beating
yeah,
those
and it
drums
gets you
and
going.
it gets you going, it really does have a physical, your body has a physical reaction to it.
Also, that's it.
Okay. So that's a real simplistic um, answer. With the crystal singing bowls, it is my belief that if the body is relaxed, the body can heal.
Mhm.
The crystal bowls give so much relaxation. Seniors just melt in their chair after a few minutes and they just let all the worries go away. We live in such a high stress
Mm.
environment. Our world is just go, 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 go.
Mhm.
And there's so many things coming at us all at one time. The bowls help us to really relax body and mind.
Mhm.
And then the body has an opportunity to say, hey, we need to do something about this little ache here or that little ache there. So
Mhm.
the body can heal itself if it's given the relaxation. And that's what my whole purpose is to help people
Wonderful.
heal.
Awesome. Well, healing for others. When someone comes to one of these sessions, what can they expect, and how do you determine what do they need, or do you just let it kind of flow?
I
Excuse
let it
me.
flow.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm in a group like
Uh-huh.
the senior centers, I'm there to give them the opportunity to listen to the bulls, to let their body relax, their mind just get rid of all of the extra noise. That's my job.
Mm. Mm.
Mary Lou will offer Reiki, which is a hands-on healing technique,
Mm-hmm.
and to anyone who wants. We don't force it on anybody. It's up to you. And many people do. They love the Reiki as well.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit more about the ocean drums before we get into this. I know you just mentioned them, and I think everyone would be really interested in seeing the ocean drums. Oh. It really does sound like the waves of the ocean.
Yes, and I bought those to be a part of the crystal bowl sessions because I wanted the participants, my seniors, to be engaged. I don't want them to just relax too much.
So they get to touch them?
Oh,
Can I
yes,
touch them?
absolutely. I have 3 of them, and I have Mary Lou, my partner.
Mhm.
She will hand those out about halfway through.
Okay.
So they'll get just the crystal bowls. They're all relaxed. And then I want them to participate.
Mm-hmm.
So we hand 3 out and we ask that they play for a few minutes and then hand it to somebody else if they
Oh,
want it.
that's so cool.
Yes.
And they really do make a unique sound. They're
Yes.
great. I love those. I love those.
It's lots
So
of fun.
that sounds like a great. I went to one of your events and it was well attended, and everyone was so enraptured through the whole thing. So this is all about healing,
Mhm.
and it's really kind of a simple healing practice. You don't have to take a pill. You don't go to the physician. You basically, it's all a lot to do with their state. Do
Mhm.
they do it lying down, or can they do it sitting in a chair? Or
Well, the seniors that I go play for, they're all in chairs.
uh-huh,
Okay. Of course, we don't have a bunch of cots or yoga mats that people can lay down on, especially at
at the
some
seniors,
ages.
right?
So they're in chairs. However, we do watch out because we don't want them so relaxed that they tumble out of their
Oh,
chair. So,
do they get pretty sleepy or
we have had a couple fall dead asleep.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
that's okay.
Yeah,
That's the best compliment.
absolutely. You take all their stress away. So,
But Mary Lou is walking around as I'm playing.
mhm,
She's offering Reiki. So she's got her eyes on who's getting a little too relaxed,
mhm,
and I'm also watching. So we have signals that we give each other
mhm.
on where she needs to go.
You
So
two really are a dynamic duo.
yeah, trouble and more trouble.
I know it. And so, if someone is new to energy healing, what is one small thing they could do like every day to feel better if they don't have access to these things?
Breathe,
Mm-hmm.
breathe.
Take time to.
Absolutely. Don't be rushed. Turn off the world and give yourself just a few minutes to ground and breathe and feel yourself, feel where your body is, where is your mind, and bring it all back to
Mm,
self.
you're so right. I
Meditation.
do. I agree with you so much that just right now, even with your calm talking, is making me feel so calm and really good. I just love that. But you mentioned something I don't know if everyone picked up on. You said ground. What does that mean?
Grounding. Okay. Well, To me, it means being in place, being here right now. There's
Mhm.
all kinds of different grounding exercises
Mm.
and things that you can do. I love going out in the garden and digging in the dirt. And I don't
That's
want to
really
wear I don't want to wear shoes.
Oh,
I want to get my toes in the dirt and
uh-huh.
I want to get my hands in there and then I just sit with Mother Earth and ground.
Oh,
But
nice.
you can do that just by sitting quietly
Mm.
and not thinking. That is so hard to do, but it is well worth it. Meditation, playing good meditational type relaxing music. Every night I sleep. I go to bed and I go to sleep by music. Very
Mm.
soft, meditative music.
Mm.
Sometimes it's a YouTube
Mhm.
of the singing bowls.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
sometimes it's the Native American flute.
Oh,
It's just whatever I choose that night and how I'm feeling. What do I need to relax?
nice.
What do
Wow.
I need to come back into
You really
myself?
control your environment.
I
It's
try.
it's about really take a moment and really and kind of become aware
Yes,
and
yes.
know what your outcome is.
And being aware in this world today is so hard because
Oh,
what's going to grab your attention?
oh
All
yeah.
of the
The
noise?
scrolling through all of the phones and
Exactly,
right. I'm
exactly.
definitely a person that does that. And I know that you're personal, you have had some healing, this helps you heal in different ways. You've
Absolutely.
had a recent diagnosis.
Yes.
I'm so happy that you are able to work with it. Do you want to share with us a little bit about that journey?
Yes, absolutely. I'll tell you the story of how it happened. I was actually scheduled to go to Kirtland Terrace and play the Crystal Singing Bowls.
Hmm.
And I got up and that Wednesday morning and couldn't see out of my right eye. Things were, what's going on? I didn't know. I could see, but it was real dim, real little. And it was like, okay, this is weird. But go-getter than I am, doer than I am, I have to get ready to go play the bowls. So I did. I went
Wow.
and played the bowls, but by that time, thankfully, the vision had cleared up. So I'm going like, okay, false alarm,
Mhm,
whatever
mhm.
that was.
Yeah.
The next morning was Thursday. I woke up. I had no vision whatsoever in my right eye.
Oh no.
I called the optometrist. He was closed that day, my optometrist
Mm-hmm.
here. And I had an appointment to go up to Traverse City to see my orthopedic surgeon because I
Mm-hmm.
was being scheduled at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the month
Mm-hmm.
to have my hip replaced. And this was all in December of 23. Friday morning, I still couldn't see. So I woke up and I called the optometrist and he said, come right in. And he said, Carrie, I'm an optometrist, not an ophthalmologist. I need to talk to a specialist. So he got on the phone with a specialist that he knew, and they went back and forth, did some more tests. And he came back to me and said, I need for you to go up to Traverse City to the Munson Hospital, ER. Do not stop, go
Oh my.
and take this note. And the note said his name and the other doctor's name and optical stroke. And
Mm.
I'm going like, huh? Okay. So I got my husband and we went up and they started with a bunch of tests. My blood pressure, I don't remember what the bottom number was. The top number was 200. So I was like, okay, this is not good.
Not good at all.
This is not good.
Oh, oh no.
So they started doing things to get the blood pressure down. I'm still in the ER. Um, and a little later, they came back and said, well, they wanted to keep me for observation
In the hospital.
in the
They admitted
hospital.
you.
No,
Wow. No.
they did
They
not
sat
admit
you
me.
there.
I'm in the ER and they're wanting to keep me for observation. Okay, so y'all know I work for the Council on Aging.
Mm.
I have a little bit of experience and knowledge of Medicare and observation.
Okay.
So I said, no. And my husband, the look on his face was like, okay, Carrie, that wasn't the right thing to say. He's scared. He's really scared. So I told the PA, I said, okay, that's fine. I will stay for observation. You got 24 hours. Figure out what's wrong with me or I'm leaving. Joe was better with that. At least he
Okay.
had 24 hours.
Okay, so did they put you in a bed for 24 hours?
They did put me in a room up on the 7th floor, penthouse view.
Okay, there you go.
I like to say that I had my 4-day stay at the Munson Resort. I had a penthouse view. That is the 7th floor Heart and Stroke Wing.
Mm,
I'm going like, okay, what
that
are you
had to
gonna
be
do?
frightening.
It was scary. But when I get scared, and I know this about myself, when I get scared, I go after it.
Mm,
So he had 24 hours to figure out what was wrong with me,
mhm,
or they had to admit me, period.
mm.
So 24 hours later, PA comes in, he says, we're admitting you. And I says, good decision.
Awesome, very good.
So they were taking all kinds of blood tests. The vampires were really, really thirsty.
Mm,
And they did they did a CAT scan. They wanted to do MRIs, but they couldn't because of the medicine they were giving me through the IV. Wouldn't
with
react.
MRI.
You couldn't do the
Wow.
MRI, so they put that on hold until after I got released. But then the 4th day came and I had a doctor come in, and he's a neurologist.
Hmm.
What?
Hmm.
Okay, and he said, we think that you might have MS. And I said, what? He says, multiple sclerosis. I said, you think?
Hmm.
And he says, well, we have to do MRIs.
Mm,
And we can't do that because of the antibiotics that you were on.
mm.
Now, mind you, my vision is clearing and it's coming back. By the 4th day, I was good. I was good. So I wasn't real happy about that
Mm-mm.
diagnosis.
No.
But it's like, what?
Yeah.
So they set me up for MRIs. I went home from the Munson Resort, and I have to say, the nurses on the penthouse floor were awesome.
Aw, that's
They
great.
were all awesome.
Yes.
I only had one that had her halo tilted, and that
Uh-oh.
was, she was drawing blood and she wasn't getting any. So
Oh.
she had to keep trying and trying,
Jeez.
but it was all good.
It's a really good hospital,
Yeah.
but they do have to follow procedures.
Yes, they do.
And it sometimes it, but
Yes.
that's really, they probably hate it as much as we do.
Oh, yes, they do. I'm
I
sure
know
they do.
Yeah.
So I came home, had the MRIs, went to another neurologist that
Mhm.
Munson had set up for me. Really liked her. She was up in Traverse City, and she gave me homework. She said, you need to learn all you can about MS and the DMTs, which is disease modifying therapies.
Hmm.
Okay, I'm just settling into hearing this MS word, and
Now you have to be an expert.
now I have to learn to be an expert, right?
Right.
So, and I'm not an expert, believe me. My daughter helped me. She's in Alabama, and she did research, and she would email me
Oh,
all of,
bless her.
her and my favorite child, my son-in-law,
Aw.
they both worked wonderfully
Aw, they love
about
you so
helping me.
much. That's awesome.
I decided at that point that I needed to do something, um, no matter what the outcome was. So while I was going through all this research, I started playing around with becoming an ambassador. Well, it wasn't until March, okay, that I got to see Dr. Sullivan. Dr. Austin up in Traverse City, she's a neurologist. She says, I think that you need to have a second opinion. And I think that you need to have a specialist. I'm a neurologist, but general neurology.
Oh,
So
so
she
she
said,
wanted a specialist in MS?
mhm.
Okay,
She said,
like the way that
I
sounds.
do too. And she says, do you want to go to this hospital or that hospital? She says, but Trinity has an MS clinic. I says, that's where I'm going.
Right, you wanna know, they know what they're doing. They
Yep,
do it all day long, every day.
absolutely.
Perfect.
So I went and met Dr. Sullivan, and Dr. Sullivan says, well, all the test results say the diagnosis is MS. He says, but with your age and you're not showing any disabilities,
Mhm.
quote unquote, go out and live your best life. And I said, gotcha, gonna do that.
All right.
So that's when I decided to be an ambassador.
And what does that mean?
The ambassador means that I get to bring awareness about MS to the community that I live in. I can do talks, I can do events, I can do just about whatever I want to bring awareness to the MS.
Mm.
Now, mind you, I was 67 years old when I got that diagnosis. I knew already 3 people that had MS.
Wow, really?
Yes.
Wow. Hmm.
And that was the other thing that said, okay, you know, 3 people already, like what the heck?
Yeah.
So I need to
Yeah.
do something.
Right. It's a calling.
Um, it was not a hard decision to make to be a voice. It is harder to get out there and get the voice heard.
Well, you're here today.
So that's where my mission is right now, Rose.
Right, right. Good for
Yeah.
you. Wow. That's just good. Congratulations. And
Mm.
that had to be so daunting to go through the unknown and then but you know, going through all those tests
Yeah.
and then being referred out, and that brought so much uncertainty into your life, I'm sure.
Well, see, that's the thing. People who have been diagnosed with MS live with that every single day
Like what next,
because
or is
you don't ever know when it's going to raise its head.
right.
MS is a neurological and autoimmune disorder.
Mm.
And what it does is along the brain and the central nervous system, it creates lesions
Hmm.
on the nerves.
Oh,
Okay.
I did not know
So
that.
yeah. So I liken it to an extension cord, okay, that's got some cracks and frays in it,
Uh-huh.
and you never know when it's going to cut out
Right.
and or when it's going to connect. That's exactly what we live with MS.
Oh,
We never know. We all have bombs living in us.
oh,
We
gotcha.
never
What a
know
good
when it's
metaphor.
going to go off.
Right.
So I tell my family, tread lightly.
Yeah,
You
really.
never know when I'm going to
You
blow.
have such a great attitude. You are a perfect ambassador because no matter what it is, you've spun it to be a little bit lighthearted, but you take it seriously, but you keep that lighthearted spirit. God bless you for that. How did Joe take it?
Devastated.
Yeah,
And
I know he really, really,
he didn't
he's always by your side.
he didn't know what to do.
Hmm.
This is totally out of his wheelhouse. And when I retired in May,
Hmm.
the day after they gave me my retirement party, I took him to the hospital for a surgery.
Mm.
And the surgeon came in, he had a belly button hernia.
Hmm.
The surgeon came in and said, you want the good news or the bad news? And I says,
I
both.
hate that.
Both. He said, well, the good news is I'm not sending you to the emergency room. Bad news is I'm not doing your surgery. It's not my day to kill you.
What the heck?
He was an AFib. Joe was an
Oh,
AFib
eh,
and did not know
oh, for gosh sake.
yeah,
So would they admit him?
no.
What do they do for that?
Well, he is on medication.
Okay,
They didn't do the surgery.
right.
They didn't do the surgery then. We had to get the AFib under control. So he went to a heart specialist and
Oh,
Yeah.
You know what they say after 40, it's just patch, patch, patch.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe it's after 65 for you and Joe.
Yeah.
That's, oh, gosh,
So
you've got each other.
we dealt with that,
Yeah.
and then the end of the year was the MS diagnosis.
Oh.
So we both got it.
Well, it happens to the best of us. It'll happen to all of us,
Yeah.
but I hope we all can see it with such grace and really lightheartedness. But also, I think what you did is you just turned it into, I'm going to own this. I'm going to be an ambassador. And do they call upon you do they actually reach out to you? Is it like the MS Association or?
It's the National Multiple Sclerosis Society, which I'm an ambassador for. We have meetings on the computer every couple of months. They're always there
Mhm,
to help me if I have questions. I just got to shoot off an email or
mhm,
make a phone call. We're pretty much we do what we want to do to bring awareness in our community. And this last year, I have just been trying to get used to what's happened
I
and
can
where do I
imagine.
need to go and how am I going to do that?
Mhm,
Because it's a new life, you
mhm,
know. Uh, so I've taken this last year just to kind of sink in to
mhm,
what's happened, not
right,
only to myself, but to my husband,
sure.
um, and just figuring out how I'm going to deal with all
Well,
this.
like I said a moment ago, you're welcome to use my studio. We can get you one that says Carrie, and you can create a little podcast for MS in Northern Michigan.
Oh,
And
yeah.
there you go.
There's not a lot of resources, and
Right.
I have to say, if with my primary doctor here in Cadillac, I went in to see her, and after the diagnosis, and I said, Doc, how many MS patients do you have
Good
that
question.
you see?
Mhm.
And how many of those are late onset?
Mm,
Because there's a difference.
okay.
MS typically is 20 to 40s. Take that back. They've now said 20 to 50s is when you
Mm,
get a diagnosis.
mhm,
Some people wait months and years because it is difficult to diagnose.
mhm.
Um, anyway, she said, I have 3 seniors
Hmm.
that she has
It's late onset.
that late onset. And I said, okay, we got to do something.
Mhm,
So when I go to play the crystal bowls for the senior centers, I always speak about MS,
mhm,
always. And if they don't have it, they know somebody who does.
mm,
And there's not a lot of resources.
no.
You learn as you go.
Mhm,
There's nobody there that holds your hand and says, okay, honey, this is what's going to happen because everybody's different.
mhm,
So, my job as an ambassador and what I'd like to do is to be a support, to bring awareness
mhm,
and educate people on what MS is and how devastating it can be.
mm,
There's 1 million people in the United States that have been diagnosed with MS,
mm,
20,000 in Michigan.
mm,
Now, these are all according to the MS Society's prevalence studies.
mhm.
So there is no real method that tracks people with MS. It's
Okay.
all done by scientific studies on how many. In my mind, I think
Mhm.
there's a lot more,
Probably.
you
Because
know?
it's such a hidden, a hidden, like it showed up first in your eye. Like if somebody thought maybe they had a fuzzy in their eye, or maybe they just, thought they slept on it wrong
Hmm.
or
Sure,
something. And
sure.
then it went away the next day. And if they weren't as, conscientious, they may have just said, oh, it's back and like forget about it.
Yeah.
But you were very on the ball to get that diagnosis. And so, how does that relate? Does the crystal bowls help with the MS journey?
Yes, it does. It
How do you
absolutely
tie
does.
that together?
Well, a couple of things I have learned in paying attention to myself and my body and what's going on with this MS diagnosis. If I am extremely stressed,
Mm,
if I am lacking of sleep, I'm going to have issues.
mm,
Okay.
mhm.
So relaxation.
Right,
And
right.
I get that relaxation when I play for others
Oh,
just as well
yeah, you're a
as I
giver.
do for myself.
Yeah, you're a
So
giver.
I absolutely loved to play for my pet, Spirit,
What's that?
my dog
Oh,
that
okay.
yeah. Now, Spirit passed away in November, but
Oh, I'm
he would,
sorry.
that's okay. He would love for me to play the bowls.
Oh, I love
He
that.
would get up on the massage table, put his chin up on the window seal and look outside and make sure nobody comes in the yard, you know.
Oh, yeah, he's
So
got to keep an eye out for the bad guys.
and I would play the bowls and he would just melt.
Oh, how sweet.
So,
How
yeah.
sweet.
So it gives not only to those I'm playing for, but for myself as well.
Awesome.
Um,
That's
yeah.
that's such a great story. Well, I want to support you in your journey. And now that you're, you have a lot of people who love you and care about you, and you're not alone. I want you to know that you're not alone.
MS ends with us.
That's true. Wow. Now, have you leveraged your Reiki? Does Mary Lou do Reiki on you, or does Reiki help MS? Or
Yes, it does. I do Reiki on
you
myself.
do Reiki on yourself,
I
huh?
do just about every night.
Oh my.
Um, so I play my relaxation music, meditation music when I go to sleep. So that helps so much. I know now, after this last year of discovery, that if I'm stressed, I'm going to have an incident. I'm going to feel something that's not good.
Mm,
Okay.
mhm.
And so I try to stay away from stressful situations.
So you don't watch Fox News?
No.
No? Or CNN?
Well,
Or
I do watch the news. I need to stay up on it, but I'm not so
you won't
focused.
get triggered.
No, I won't
Yeah,
get triggered.
that's good.
One instance is every May, I drive to Alabama because that's where my
That's where
daughter
you're,
lives, and my parents are there as well.
right?
My mom is there, my dad and stepmother are there. I have 4 sisters there and a brother.
Hmm.
So I go down and I spend a week and I run my butt off going to see everybody.
Right.
But last year, in May, I drove down and the trip was horrible. It rained the entire state of Indiana.
Wow.
And usually I drive straight through 14 hours.
Hmm.
I drive straight through. Well, after that, it took me 2 days to recover at my daughter's house.
Oh, yeah, that would have been a nightmare to drive in that kind of rain and all that traffic.
Yep,
So that really pushed all your buttons,
it
didn't it?
did. It pushed
Wow.
all of my buttons. So I decided that ain't happening no more. Okay. I am the master
So
of
you're not
my
going down there
schedule.
anymore?
Oh, yes, I'm going, but it's going to be an overnight trip.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm going to drive to,
Absolutely. Go to the hotel.
I'm going to
Get your
drive to,
creature comfort.
yep. I'm going to go to, we're going to stop in E-Town and we're going to spend the night. And then we've got 4.5, 5 hours.
Good plan.
Yeah.
Very good
So it's
plan.
things like that that I look at.
Hmm.
How can I do this different? If this is setting me off,
Right,
what can I do different?
right.
A couple of times I've gotten myself in trouble with my schedule
Hmm.
on planning, and scheduling singing bowls and other activities that I
Mhm.
want to do. And finally, I had to say, well, wait a minute. You're the one that created this.
Yeah.
You are the one that needs to fix
That's a
this.
great attitude.
And so I take my calendar. I love doing the singing bowls and other things that I do for the senior centers, but I don't want it to become a job.
No. No.
I left the job.
Yeah, you retired.
I retired, but I want to give back. But
Sure.
I have to know my limits. So I've set myself boundaries.
Well, I have a question about basically modern medicine, and you're entrenched, which is awesome, with the really high quality doctors,
Yep.
the MS Association, and you're an ambassador, and I'm sure they have a medical, like, I don't know if they give you pharmaceuticals or whatever, but how do the practitioners, like the medical doctors, feel about your Reiki? How do they feel about the crystal bowls? Do they poo-poo it, or do they support it, or do you not tell them? Do they support
All
your?
of the above.
Oh, tell me.
All
Tell
of
us
all of
more.
the above.
I think we'd like to hear the good, the bad, and the not so bad.
It depends on the doc, or the health professional, if I'm going to tell them about, as my mother would say, your woo-woo stuff.
Right. I love woo-woo.
Those that I have told my general practitioner and my neurologist, hey, if you love it, then do it.
Awesome. Right.
You know, what is it going to hurt? You know, everything that you can make yourself feel better, why not do
Right,
it?
right.
You know, so if it brings you relaxation, if it brings relaxation to those that you play for, then do it.
Right.
If you like mindfulness and meditation, then do it.
Absolutely.
They can both be in your life,
Yes, definitely.
you know. Now I did go to a neuro-urologist, because that's where MS shows up for me, is in urology, and I have incontinence issues.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That I learned off this last year real quick. So I decided, okay, I'll go to a neuro-urologist.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I found one up in Traverse City, and I'm thinking a neuro-urologist, so she's got to have some, or he or she, this one happens to be a she, experience with neurological
Issues.
disorders,
Sure.
and you know, like MS,
Right.
right? And the first thing she wanted to do, she was very nice. I liked her personally, her personality, but the first thing she wanted to do was give me a prescription. And I looked at the prescription, and I took it to Walgreens and filled it. I went to get it filled, but there was issues with it, getting it filled. They had to get back to her for whatever reasons, probably insurance stuff. But I looked at all of the stuff about this particular drug. Now, keep in mind, I'm 67 years old. I'm a senior. And this drug affects your cognitive abilities. Now, it's one of those rare things, but I'm sorry, I didn't need help with taking away things I already had.
Right. Yeah,
You know?
I follow you there.
So I called her up and I said, not taking the meds. You told Walgreens cancel it, not doing it.
How'd she take that?
She said, reach out when you're ready to do something. And I said, well, I am going to be doing something. I am going to make my boundaries. I'm going to stay within those boundaries. That's a hard one for me.
Oh, yeah.
Making them's not bad.
Yeah,
It's staying within
it. Yeah,
it's
I'll
keeping
do it
it.
until you have to do it.
Yep. You know, and I will watch my body and see how I feel. If I need to come back, if it becomes an everyday issue with the incontinence, then I'll come back to see you. But it wasn't an everyday issue, and it's something I feel I can manage
And
without.
with or without MS, most of us have a little bit of that anyway.
Well, as you get older.
As you get older, I mean, it's a routine question. When you pass 65, they ask the incontinent question every time you go to the doctor.
Yeah.
So how much is that really MS, and how much of it is just that's the
Exactly.
way it is?
Exactly.
Right?
How much?
Yeah, that's the big, like the uncertainty we
Yes.
talked about.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that the majority of your doctors are supportive of them.
Oh,
So will you play a little bit for us?
absolutely. Would love to. Will you play
Okay, I'll
the
try.
ocean drums?
I'll try. Okay.
Awesome. gonna move these around a little bit.
Okay. Gotta make sure you're still in the frame.
Oh, I don't know that I am.
Okay,
I
let's,
am not. So
okay.
can we move this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's move this stuff. And
And we'll move these into here.
yeah, let's.
And we'll put this mic right there. Thank you, everyone, for putting up with our little, you're gonna love it. You're gonna get to hear these beautiful bowls. And are they made of crystal or
They are.
They are. And these
They-
are, your instruments are acrylic?
They're acrylic with silicone.
Awesome. So these are the wands?
Yep. The crystal singing bowls actually come out of the quartz crystal industry. Okay, so
Mhm.
quartz crystals are a natural stone, if you
Mhm.
want to say, but we have labs that grow crystals for watches and computers and lasers and medical equipment. All of those things have crystals in
Wow.
them.
Wow. Well,
Um,
that's the technology bit. So those people who are watching this for the innovation, that's what I was talking about. So we have industries that grow crystals. Now, who would have thunk that?
Yeah.
Because you think of a crystal as a rock and that it's in, Superman's cave. But I guess we're creating them.
Yep, and they've been growing crystals in labs since the 80s.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Most of them are out in California. And some crystals didn't make it past the specs that they were looking
Mhm.
for.
Mhm.
So they all went in a pile. And somebody came up with a great idea of getting them and fashioning them into bowls.
Uh-huh.
And the bowls are then tuned to specific notes
Uh-huh.
and frequencies.
You've been staying super strong through all these challenges. How do you really do it? You've done a lot of you do a lot of it, but I know you have a strong support group in your family and your friends. Tell us a little bit about your friends and how they complement what you're doing.
Oh, I can give some great pity parties.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can. So if you ever want to come to one of them, just holler at me.
Okay.
But you can't stay there.
Right.
Can you read a good book while you're at a pity party?
No.
Can you enjoy the scent of your flower garden while you're in a pity party?
Mm-mm.
No,
No.
you can't do any of the things that you really love if you're at that pity party.
Yes.
So I only allow myself a short time to go have at it
Mhm.
and feel down and get mad. And then I pick myself back up and say, let's go.
Awesome. Awesome.
My friends, they're awesome. When I started the one of them is Mary Lou.
Mhm.
When I started playing the crystal singing bowls, and that's what I wanted to do, I was going to do that for senior services. And she says, I want to do it too. I says, well, we're doing it for free. We'll just do donations.
Mhm.
So it's not a moneymaker.
Right.
I mean, we're retired and, so it's not a moneymaker. It's a giving back to our community. So she comes with me when I do the bowls, and she offers Reiki on all the seniors' shoulders. It's energy work, and they love it. They love it. I have another friend who gives me energy work, does energy work for me. She does Eden energy, and several other modalities, but Eden energy is the big one that she does for me. And a lot of that is because Barbara Eden, she's been in energy work for decades. And
I dream of Jeannie.
yeah, not that one, but
Oh,
yeah.
not that one?
No.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Anyways, she was diagnosed with MS
Okay.
when her kids were teenagers.
Mm.
So she says that she has cured herself.
Wow.
Now, I think that's awesome. So I like the Eden energy.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, they listen to me.
Awesome. Yeah, you
If,
really
if I'm having a
can't
bad
do it
day,
alone.
I know who I can call.
Awesome. Very cool. Very
If
cool.
I need to get in trouble, I know who I can call.
Well, that's amazing. I really appreciate all that you've done for us today. And looking ahead, what's next for you?
What's next? Well, I have the senior centers booked for crystal bowls for the summer of this year. I only play the bowls from April till November
Mhm.
because I don't want to go out in the winter, and I don't want to encourage the seniors to go out in the winter
Mhm.
and then have to mess with rescheduling and because it was a snow day.
Right.
So I want to get things roaring and moving more for MS ambassadors. I want to be able to talk to more people and have some meetings and support those in our community that have MS. So yeah,
So if
that
someone
is.
wants to reach out to you, would they go through the senior center or how
Oh,
can
no.
they reach out to you?
Yes, they can reach out to me directly. And if it's about MS, you can get a hold of me at CAD, CAD, MS warrior at gmail.com. That's specifically for the MS people who want to talk to me or book something that I can talk to. I would love to come to groups, clubs, and organization churches and talk about MS because almost everybody's going to know somebody,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, we all heard the stories, and we lost Terry Garr, who was a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful actress.
Yeah.
I loved her. She was like you though. She kept it all light and funny. I remember I saw her on a talk show before she died several years ago because she had MS for several years before she passed. And she said, "Does this wheelchair make my butt look fat?" And I just thought that was so funny. She just made, I mean, she you're a lot like her.
You have to find the humor. You have to make it light.
I love that.
Otherwise, it weighs you down too much.
Wonderful.
So,
Well, I love this. You're doing so great. And so, one thing I want to ask you is will you come back and talk to us in about a year to see how things have progressed and how your journey has continued to evolve?
absolutely.
Awesome.
And I would love to come back and interview her.
Okay. Maybe I need a Reiki session before you do that.
Not a problem.
Okay. Well, with that, God bless you, Carrie,
Thank
and
you.
God bless Joe and Mary Lou and everyone in the senior centers in Cadillac. If you are a senior, I know that they put the crystal bowl sessions in their newsletters.
Absolutely.
And so you can find out about that there. And with that, we'll say goodbye.
Bye.
That was awesome.